Hi, my name is Nathan, and today we're going to do a comic book review of The Last Ronin, issue number 5, the conclusion of all this that we all been waiting so long for, and patiently, if I may add. Brought to you by RatedComics. Let's get to it. We begin this issue with Michelangelo, the last remaining turtle, arguing with the ghost of his 3 brothers as to what the next plan of attack against the sinister Oroku Hiroto should be. Grappling with his own survivor's remorse, as much as he is with the burden of exacting revenge against his family's murderer, Mikey stares at his father's diary. Raphael tells Mikey, "I knew you weren't strong enough to handle this. Never were. Wait to let us all down, Mikey." These are all manifestations of his mind, but if Mikey had his way, he would love to bring Raphael back just to kill him again. I mean, not really, but you know, that's what he's going through right now. Mikey is ready to finish this and end this insanity once and for all, and all these voices in his head of his brothers constantly telling him that he's not good enough. He knows what needs to be done. He looks at Splinter's journal again, shuts it, and goes to end this once and for all. In this panel right here, everything is broken out into chaos. The streets, not the roof, is on fire. This was not the rebellion Casey Marie was hoping for. She was expecting people to pick up some arms and join the fight, not loot the streets. While trying to recruit as many people as possible to join arms and not loot, they just got comms that Hiroto, Shredder's grandson, is still on the high ground, and the power outage is causing floodings in the sewers, which jeopardizes Alaire and her mother. Meanwhile, Hiroto is pissed. No one can get a hold of Stockman, and the city will be trying to claw their way in there any minute. This is the weakest the Foot Clan has ever been. He is a complete sociopath, and he believes he's a god. He commands that all his soldiers go on full tactical alert, have to guard the guard in this level, and the other half to crush the rebels. No mercy. And one way or another, this is going to end. He demands his armor because he is going to hunt and kill a mutant. Mikey looks in the distance like, bruh, you know I'm coming. Down in the sewers, Casey goes looking for her mother and Sensei Mikey. She notices his journal and she believes he just wouldn't leave it lying around. Casey locates her mom as she tries to knock out the water pumps to stop the flooding. Casey asks for Mikey and punches a wall when she finds out from April that Mikey's gone. April tells her daughter that she doesn't want her to hurt herself. Will I say, Casey? I just punched through a wall. She's aware that she knows for a long time that she's a mutant. April reluctantly admits to her that her and her father's exposure to mutagen changed Casey's DNA by hanging around with the turtles. DNA when April was pregnant with her. Any child would probably do this. I mean, she was upset with her mother for not telling her sooner about this, and she asked if April was ever going to tell her and when she was going to tell her. April doesn't have a clear answer for that because she didn't know if or when would be the right time. April tells Casey that Mikey has trained his entire life for this and he's going to finish this. Casey puts on her mask, if you will, and she goes to locate Mikey because Mikey's gonna need some help and Casey wants to do this. Inside the building, Mikey places thermite grenades that are well placed inside the building to create a diversion to make his way to the upper level so he can have some Hiroto ass on the revenge plate. When the explosive diversion happens, it shakes the entire building. Hiroto knows he's coming. Fight or flight, and Mikey wishes Hiroto would choose fight. Mikey is surprised that there is no mindless robot assassins, just some Foot Clans who lost their edge and loyalty as he wipes the floor with them. Stockman, not policing them, will do that, you know? All these bodies laying there as Mikey makes his way to serve that revenge dish to Hiroto. As Mikey approaches a door that holds Hiroto, a giant knight is guarding it. Let's see what the boys got, says Mikey. Well, not exactly those words, but you guys get it. He throws a couple grenades at him for theatrics. Hard for the knight to strike when he's deaf and blind. Then he throws another blast to open the door. Mikey throws down with the knight. He is quicker than Mikey had thought and too dangerous for him to fight at a distance because he's so large. Mikey gets close and personal to end this. Now it's time for the real fight. Hiroto says, Mikey, I'm here. What are you waiting for? Before he can get to Hiroto, the last line of defense are these crows. They're synthetic and controlled by a separate control system for Stockman. He sets off an EMP blast to take him out. Then an old school robot ambushes Mikey, which inflicted some pain on him. Mikey delivers a bigger blow by impaling his midsection using the giant knight sword. To put that robot out of his misery, now it's time to face off with a Hiroto. Like a man, he says. Like a child, Hiroto asks Mikey from the shadows, which one are you? All of you look the same to me, dead or alive. Dead or alive, this ends tonight. Your family's bloodline ends tonight, says Mikey. He's armored up as he looks at his mother in the capsule. Hiroto admits that he always hated his mother and he only kept her alive out of spite, just for her to witness all that he's conquered. He strikes the capsule with his mother inside. Mikey is unfazed by this and tells him, at least your mother had honor. You ready to do this or what? He responds with, he didn't get dressed up for nothing. Let's begin the end. They go at it revenge style. Mikey realizes that his suit is liquid metal and that he can manipulate like nanocarbide or something. Think of it like Tony Stark's nanotech armor from Avengers Infinity War. Hirota can make it solid in order to strike with his fist and blades. He has to steer clear of those, and Mikey is fighting more on the defense than on the offense. The fires are getting bigger and harder to breathe with all that toxic smoke. Not to mention Hiroto's anger is growing, and Mikey can use that to his advantage. He does that by calling him Mama's Boy to provoke his anger and to get him to slip up. A giant explosion happens from the tower during their epic battle, and the two of them go flying out the window. Meanwhile, in the sewers, April and Casey are still figuring out how to get to the main pump to stop the flooding. Mikey and Hirota continue to fall while they both try to inflict damage on one another. Casey really wants to help Mikey as she witnesses the tower going up in flames, but she is needed elsewhere to help and to find her mom. Otherwise, there won't be anything left in the city. Mikey notices that with all this falling, there is barely a scratch on his armor, and he needs to find that soft, beautiful weak spot in his armor. They fall through a water tower reserve. Hiroto's armor shows no sign of damage, and Mikey needs to desperately find something. A small glimmer of hope. There is a scratch on his armor, but Hiroto armor self-repairs the scratch, and Mikey has to find another freaking way. Mikey provokes him again to see if he can find an opening. You were about to do something stupid, says Mikey, hoping that will give him the opening that he needs. He comes in with the heat and smoke that Mikey wasn't expecting. His attacks are quicker and more aggressive. While the fight is still going on, we see that Casey wants to desperately help Mikey. She can't, because she has to swim underwater to get to the main pumps to save people and locate her mom. Mikey has to handle this on his own, but this is exactly what he wanted. Hiroto is keeping the heat on Mike. He attacks more aggressively. He knows Mikey is hurt, but Mikey has to keep his distance and choose the right time to strike. The fall earlier through the water tower did damage to Mikey as he is practically moving at half speed. Hiroto knows this, and he takes full advantage by landing a blow to his face. Mikey creates an opening by releasing a charge on his hand to create an opening. He then impales his hand with the sai, yelling, "A gift from Raphael." That had to be a feel-good moment. Really good to say that. He removes the sai from his hand and mocks Mikey, but he is also distracted when he sees his tower explode in flames. He takes his eyes off of Mikey, which is a no-no in combat. Knocks him upside his head. Now Mikey is the aggressor as Hiroto's armor is busted up, and he impales him with Leonardo's katana. This one's courtesy of Leonardo. Hiroto yells and tells Mikey that he's won. Mikey doesn't want to hear that as he picks up his sewer's grate to finish him off, Mortal Kombat style. But his guard is down as Hiroto slices Mikey's midsection. This could be fatal. He's going to bleed out. Hiroto removes Leonardo's sword from his stomach, and not only does the armor self-repair, it also heals Hiroto's wound as well. Mikey uses the Donnie staff to break right over his head. Donatello sends his regards, says Mikey. Mikey goes underground to stop the bleeding and to catch his breath. Hiroto goes underground to the sewers as well and mocks him again for running and hiding in the sewers. Yeah, who's running, says Mikey, and nunchucks him in the head. While the fight is going on, April and Casey are underwater to stop the flooding. As Casey is running out of air, rocks are falling everywhere. April gets an extra kick of adrenaline or something like that and finally turns the switch for the flood to end. April and Casey get themselves together. They share a tender moment that Casey didn't want to lose her mother, and she's glad that she's found her. April's like, it's okay, and fixing up broken things is what I do. Speaking of which, Mikey has no clue about it, but she injected a tracker in Mikey when she drew blood from him. She meant to tell Casey that, but she ran off before she can say anything. Casey goes to locate Mikey. Hiroto's armor is failing him, and Mikey has to end this before his body ends him. They emerge out of the sewer system as the water is let out. Head spinning and guts leaking, Mikey can barely stand. Mikey realizes this is a one-way ticket, but he does intend on not taking that trip alone. This mud hole will be your grave, says Mikey. He lands blow after blow on him. Hiroto still feels that he's a god and immortal. He activates a failsafe to emit an intense amount of electrical surge. They both go down, and this is their end. Fortunate for Hiroto, but unfortunate for Mikey. Casey locates Mikey and begs Mikey not to leave her. She brought the journal and shows it to Mikey, reminding Mikey that he promised to teach her and he can't go. It's just not fair. Mikey apologizes to Casey, but it was his duty to fulfill his destiny for his family. Casey pleads to Mikey that she is his family. Mikey is her family. He agrees and ends with that. His father's journal is left for her and it will teach her all that he knew. But the last lesson is the most important lesson, and he opens the last page of the journal as it states, no peace. Mikey is at peace as April and Casey say goodbye to their friends as he took his last breath. The death of the last Ronin. I enjoy this ending as Mikey wakes up reunited with his brothers and Master Splinter and Casey Jones, ready to conquer the day as they head out into the sunset. This has to be like heaven to Mikey as he lived long enough to avenge his father's death. Sorry, I meant to say family's death. My apologies. In this epilogue, we see Casey Marie continuing her training, wishing Michelangelo was here with her to see how far she's come. She goes to the lab where her mother is there, running tests trying to understand the mutagen inside of her. We end this series with Casey Marie telling 4 baby turtles to hurry up and grow as she's got so much to teach them. And that's where we end this series and the conclusion of The Last Ronin. I personally feel this has to be made into a freaking movie. I mean, the creative team on this book deserves a lot of praise. This has to be a movie. The scenes with the brothers arguing particularly truly came to life, and it's truly a testament to how far Michelangelo has come as The Last Ronin. I believe this is a satisfying conclusion to what is quite possibly the most intriguing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle story by any means, as far as I've read. And again, I'm new to comics, just barely a year into comics. The first video you see of this channel, which is a King in Black review, that was the first time I read a comic book in probably 30 years, if not more. Gosh, I feel old saying that. I feel the weight between the issues may have been a disservice to the story. Reading it all the way through in a single sitting is probably a better way to do this book justice. Great artwork, action, and the heartbeat of The Last Ronin is unmistakably the Michelangelo. Link in description if you wish to add this comic book to your comic book collection. Support the art, support the industry. This is a classic in my personal opinion. Last Ronin, issue number 5. What do you guys think of the comic book? Comment below, let me know. And also, if you like the content we're throwing up, you know what to do. Don't be shy and don't be stingy. Here at Rated Comics, we do awesome comic book reviews, comic book related content with the occasional comic book giveaway. Thanks again for watching. Until next time.